Hello everyone, this is IntuitiveEdge. Welcome once again to my channel. This is where we take an intuitive look at what's going on in our world, and it's time to take a look at our month ahead for November. Let's take an intuitive look and look at the cards and see what's coming up this month. Now I'm sure what is on everybody's mind is the midterm elections, so we're going to start there and take a look at the election coming up and see what energies are surrounding that. And then we'll get into the cards for the rest of the month. So for the elections, I want to take a look at what's leading up to the elections, the energy around that, and then what we need to know concerning this election coming up, and then what is the final outcome. So let me finish shuffling up here. I am using the Gilded Tarot Royale deck. So I'm just going to shuffle up the cards here, holding the intention for the highest good and for the best and right and perfect cards to come through to give us a good picture of what's going to be taking place and what we need to know. All right, so leading up to it, the main issue, what we need to know, and the final outcome. Okay, so leading up to this election, we have the Nine of Pentacles, which is actually a very positive card. This tells me that there could be some really interesting energies coming up that could play very positively in what is coming up with this election. The thing to be aware of, though, is the main issue, which is a very different energy, and this is the Page of Swords. Now, the Page of Swords is a caution about hearsay and gossip and being careful about it's being careful about what might be playing into things. It feels as though there is an energy that is working a little bit behind the scenes to subvert things or to muddy the waters or to try to maybe peddle influence on this election, or perhaps use social media to steer public opinion or to try to sway things. So this is a very important election, and I think a lot of players involved recognize the importance of this election. The way I read tarot cards is I do look at the artwork and I get messages as I look. And as I'm looking at this card, I am drawn to the blue birds sitting on that sword. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try to zoom in there. But that's what made me think of social media, in particular Twitter. I'm sensing a lot of frustration and anger at Twitter or having something to do with Twitter. Now, I know that there's been a lot going on with Twitter with the takeover buyout with Elon Musk. However, there's something that is really damaging that's going to be coming out regarding Twitter and the election. It could be simply that there are people that maybe are upset at things. Let me tune in here for a second. I'm feeling really interesting energies on this. I'm hearing double-edged sword as I'm looking at this sword here. And it feels as though that the Twitterverse there's something that's going to be coming back at Twitter. Boy, how do I explain this one? What I'm sensing. Okay, guys, you're going to have to bear with me. I got to talk this out. So what I'm sensing is energy directed at Twitter, and it feels like there's people that had liberty to peddle influence there, that suddenly what they've always expected or come to know is not. There's something being found out. I don't know if this is bot influence or some other type of nefarious activity that in the past Twitter has gotten away with, but it's not going to be effective, and there's a lot of anger directed at Twitter, probably at Elon Musk. And this is really going to upset the balance of how things were going forward. This is going to really change and upset things. And I think there's a lot of anger too coming up directed at Twitter, leaning more to the right. And this is causing a lot of stress and problems on the inside. I hear secrets. There are lots of secrets there. And so there is vying for control of the narrative. And the anger I'm sensing with this is just palpable, directed at Twitter right now. And it's pointing to the next card. Let's see what this is. What do we need to know concerning this? We have the love triangle, the breakup card, the card of betrayal and sadness and all of that, but usually involving like a love triangle. I'm hearing it shouldn't have happened this way. It should not have happened this way. And I feel like there is energy of people feeling like they want revenge. That's what I'm feeling. They want revenge. Sometimes if you're involved in a love triangle or a breakup, some people just get heartbroken and they cry, and other people want revenge. They want payback. They're out for blood. And I'm feeling like there's a segment related or directed at Twitter that is out for blood. They're angry. There's a new policy coming down the pike, since we're on the topic of Twitter. There's a new policy. It's not anything that has been part of a TOS before. This is something new. It's going to be coming out maybe in the next several weeks. But it's different. It's going to really kind of open people's minds to think differently about their presence online and how to use online messaging, how to use different platforms maybe together. But this is going to revolutionize the way social media works. It's going to be very forward thinking, kind of out into the future a little bit, and it's coming out really soon. There's going to be an announcement about it, so be looking for that. All right, back to the election. So the final outcome, or maybe I should, before I look at that card, let's look at, so the outcome for the Republicans. I did Republicans, Democrats, kind of what's the energy. So the Republicans have this card. This is the Sun. This is a major arcana. It tells me there's a lot of weight to this, and it's actually one of the most positive cards in the deck. So Republicans could see some substantial gains, perhaps House and Senate. Now, we also have the Six of Pentacles. I call this the give and take card. And when I see this card, it's usually balancing power, balancing back. If something's been one way, it's giving back and going the other way. It causes equilibrium and balance. And so there could be that shift or balance of power that is going back the other direction. Now, outcome for the Democrats. The first card I had was the Six of Wands. I call this the triumphal entry card. This is actually not a bad card. It's a positive card. The card next to it I pulled too. So this card is the Six of Cups. I'm sorry, Six of Swords. This card is the Six of Swords. And this card is about moving on or moving away. So this triumphal entry is pointing right into this moving into a new phase, moving into a new direction, moving on. So I think that the power that has been solidly in the Democrats' hand is going to be moving and shifting into a new. It's going to look different. Okay, it's going to look new and different. Probably with the Sun card on the Republicans. Now this is just natural, and I'm going to do. I wasn't going to get into it in this video because what I have to say about this could take a long time to explain. But this is so important, and it has to do with the natural law of rhythm. Now, the natural law of rhythm seeks to keep everything in perfect working balance, and that includes the polarities. So we swing one way, we swing the other way. And the idea is to not have a wild swing one way because that's out of balance. The idea is like if you picture like a clock, a grandfather clock with a pendulum, it keeps perfect time. How? By swinging gently from one to the other and keeping perfect balance that way. Now, if somebody holds their finger on one side and keeps that pendulum from swinging the appropriate way, it's going to cause the clock to run out of time, meaning out of sync with time. And then if eventually that energy is going to be so much it lets go, and then it's going to be swinging hard the other direction, which isn't good either. So the idea is the universe works in balance with nature and everything else. And it is our job to come into alignment with it, recognize when we're in a phase of, okay, things are going to go this way for a while. Okay, things are going to swing this way for a while. And be like an observer and not someone who gets so emotionally invested in it being my way. It can't go over here. That's holding on to the pendulum, and that's going to cause things to come out of timing and things to swing hard the other way. It's inevitable. So some have said that there is a lot of holding the pendulum that's been going on for a lot of years, perhaps decades, where things have been swinging one way and, oh my gosh, we don't want to give back power, so we're going to mess with algorithms, we're going to influence social media, we're going to do whatever we can to sway the population, and you know, it's behind the scenes, and it's dirty deeds done in dark corners. And so that's the energy that is subversive, that is dishonest. And in a universe that we're moving into with the energies that we are moving into, there's a new earth and a new phase coming. And dirty deeds done in dark corners are not going to be able to stand as well as they have in the past. And a lot of people have become accustomed to being able to peddle influence and being able to manipulate things behind the scenes. And it's just not going to work in the future coming up real soon. It's just not going to work. So these things are going to be changing. And I suspect that this is what's happening with the midterms. Now, this shouldn't surprise anybody if the pendulum goes way the other way. It should not surprise anyone because there has been a lot of behind the scenes subversive efforts to manipulate and control things, keeping it artificially over here, instead of just allowing the natural rhythm of life to do what it does. And any attempt at censorship, any attempt at, dare I say, any kind of cheating going on, anything like that, just prolongs the inevitable swing hard the other way. So we want to avoid that altogether. And we can do that by just detaching a little bit and allowing the process of life to unfold. So that's my little segue into the natural law of rhythm. It's a very important natural law because we all know we live in a world of polarities. We live in a dualistic world. We live in a black, white, left, right, up, down world. And in order to balance those energies, we have to allow a little bit of swinging one way or the other, okay? That's the way it has to keep in balance. Otherwise, the clock will mess up. So this is what I think is going to be coming up for this election. I do think it's going to swing hard the other way, and the balance of power will shift the other direction. It's inevitable. I did since a couple of months ago, I was looking at this. It might have been in one of my previous videos. I do think that there's still going to be some contested elections, so look for that. Again, I think it's some of those that are really fighting to keep that balance of power from shifting the other direction. But again, you can't fight natural law. Natural law will do what it does, and the more people interfere, the more severe it will be later on going the other direction. So allow the process of life to unfold the way it does, and allow yourself to flow with the changes. You'll be much happier in the long run. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the month. November 2022, overall, what is going to be happening this month? What's going to be in the news? What energy is in the past that's leaving? Okay. What energy is on the horizon that's coming into view in the near future? What do we need to know this month? What might surprise us this month? What is the lesson that we should be learning in November? And what is the final outcome for this beautiful month ahead? Let's take a look. Okay. So what will be in the news? We have the Three of Cups. That is a very social card, a very happy card. So a lot of celebration coming up. A lot of celebration coming up in November. That's very interesting. There could be some of that related to the election. I'm sure some will be celebrating. All right, what will be in the news what energy is in the past? Well, this is interesting. We have the Seven of Swords here. This is a card of kind of a tricky situation, or having to kind of be careful. It's a card of caution. Be careful, be careful. Well, that energy is leaving. That Seven of Swords sometimes can bring the energy of someone who's being sneaky and secretive. And that energy is leaving. And it feels like there is something that is finished. Something is complete. And that energy of sneaky, subversive could be on its way out. What energy is coming into view? Well, we have the King here. The King of Pentacles. He's a good businessman. But he represents authority, power, business, kingship, rulership. There could be new rulership, new leadership on the horizon. What do we need to know this month? We have the Five of Swords. This is a card of conflict, but it's also a battle that has been hard fought, that is now over and moving into the cleanup phase. What might surprise us? Oh boy. We have the Queen of Swords coming out on that. The Queen of Swords, she's the no BS lady. She gets to the bottom of things. She cuts to the chase. She sees what other people don't see, and she brings things up to the surface. So, wow, that's what we're going to be seeing this month, is things are going to be coming out in the open, out into the surface, up from the depths, and into the light. Light is going to be shed on things. This is the card of getting to the truth of a matter, getting to the heart of a matter, and leaving nothing uncovered. Okay, leaving nothing covered. It's uncovering dark secrets in the light of truth. This is on what might surprise us. So be looking for that to see how that might surprise us this month. What is the lesson to learn in November? We have the Page of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles. This is a card about learning and study. It represents the student in life. It also represents initiation into knowledge and learning. And to have this card in November, that's our lesson. There's some initiation or lesson or something that we need to learn about ourselves, about our world, and we might have to face some things that cause us to rethink and reevaluate. Pages are messengers. And this message is telling us that there's something about learning that's going to be our lesson. The final outcome for November is the Page of Cups. We have another page. So there's going to be some new things probably toward the end of the month that are going to deal with learning tough lessons, learning about things, becoming a student, becoming a detective, interested in the truth. Again, with that Queen of Swords truth card coming out, bringing things from the surface, she might be bringing things out into the open for us to learn about and to understand better. There could be some truths uncovered that might be uncomfortable, but we have to look at them and we have to understand them. She's asking us to dig deeper and to understand what is coming up and being brought to the surface. The Page of Cups is all about offerings, messages, promotions. He also brings things in. Sometimes things can be a little bit tricky, a little bit underhanded, a little bit sneaky, a little bit fishy. There are some new truths coming out in November that could shock people, but it's something that we must look at and we must see. And the two messengers on the end of the month tell me that toward the end of the month, there could be some revelations coming forth that really cause people to rethink their alliances, their connections, their worldview. Sometimes our worldview we can be so identified with our worldview. I am a this, I am a that. I am a vegan, I am a Christian, I am a Islamist, I am a whatever. I am a Democrat, I'm a Republican, whatever that I am, it gets attached to. And those things are simply identifying markers. It's not the truth of who any of us really are. It's simply something we identify with. And the challenge is when we identify with something so much that it rocks our world, when we have to challenge what we're seeing, or when something comes up to make us rethink our worldview, our premise, our beliefs. Some of those beliefs are right down in the very core of who we think we are. But the truth of who we are expansive spiritual beings. There is not the I am is simply something that we put on ourselves. We're moving into a time when we are going to be expanding beyond labels. This is why labels can be so damaging, especially when we label others as extremist this or far right that or any of those, far left, whatever. Religious right, religious zealot, whatever. Those are labels. Those are perceptions of the I am that aren't actually who we really are. And these could be coming up for us to grapple with in our own lives as well as in the collective. But think of that in terms of yourself this month. Are you having to challenge your beliefs? Is something coming up that's causing you to rethink your whole life or rethink everything you used to know? We take these ideas that we place upon ourselves, we base them off of our experience. We go through an experience in life and it tells us, I am this. And then that's what we identify with. But the truth, if we can back up and say, I am experiencing this, but I am the greater, I am part of the greater all. I am part of the greater mind, the greater concept of humanity. I am part of humanity as a whole. Yes, I might be myself here in this individuated body, but I am part of the human species. I am part of this greater work going on the planet. There's going to be some type of influence that's going to cause people to rethink their foundation of who they think they are. So allow that to happen. It's not scary. Some people might run in fear from it. They don't want to look at those things that challenge. It's hard because we don't want to admit we're wrong. We don't want to admit that we've been duped. We don't want to admit that we're naive and got played. That can be highly embarrassing. So it's understandable. But again, those of us that can move into this and just say, you know what? I'm not going to identify as this thing. I'm just experiencing that and allowing my worldview to change on it a little bit. That's going to really soften the blow for some people if they can get to that level and that awareness and not identify so hard concretely with the I am that they've put on themselves. So I hope that wasn't too ethereal out there. I hope you were able to glean what I was trying to say here. But that's what I'm going to say for November. It's going to be a powerhouse of a month. I really sense a lot of positive energy, however, coming in with this month. It's not all going to be a challenge. And the more we can roll with the punches and roll with where things are going and acknowledge the pendulum, that is huge. That is going to be huge. If we can recognize that this election is just another time for the pendulum to swing, that's all. If we can move with that and allow these changes to happen, if we try to hang on to it, it's just going to cause misery later on. We have to flow with natural law. Otherwise, it's going to cause misery and suffering in the world. All right, I think that's what I'm going to cover for this month. I think that's all I'm going to say about this. I'm going to stop here. I thank every one of you for watching this video and for hanging in with me as I explain the little kind of nuances and interesting shifts that are a little bit of like a spiritual lesson, I think, that we're going to be facing this month. So be prepared for divine truths to come out and for just plain truths to come out. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time. This has been Intuitive Edge. Bye for now.